In the film Good Will Hunting, we follow Will as he goes through court-mandated therapy, a relationship gone sour, and a change of heart caused by a conversation with his best friend Chucky and his therapist Sean. These conversations underline the theme of growth, where Will is forced to face his past trauma and accept himself to allow himself to become more open to using his gifts and leading a life separate from his past. Towards the end of the film, Will has a conversation with his best friend Chucky, someone who's always been by his side. At this moment in the movie, Will has argued with every other major character as they are challenging the future he wants to settle for. Given how Chucky has been a key reason for Will staying in Boston, when he starts telling Will he wants him to leave and achieve new things in life, Will's future is challenged again. But this time, by someone who he's always been supported by. Chucky's line,
"You don't owe it to yourself. You owe it to me,"
is in response to Will mentioning how everyone's told him that he should take advantage of his gift simply because he has it. By challenging Will's future from this more personal aspect to Chucky, he creates a realization within Will which is highlighted by the lighting after this moment in the scene, especially in the final close-up of Will, where he stares on quietly at Chucky. The shine in his eyes are a direct reference to the idea of viewing things in a new light, contrasting with the earlier use of lighting in the fight with Skylar, changing him from the scarier and aggressive feel into a more hopeful one. This change of lighting really represents the change in his mindset, where this heartfelt and emotional statement from Chucky about how he wants Will to achieve the sort of things he never could, opens Will up to the idea of using his gift. Furthermore, in this scene, Will's body language and dialogue physically shows the audience a change in his character. In the beginning of the scene, Chucky and Will aren't looking at each other and are just having a short back and forth, staring off at the distance. Once Chucky begins getting serious, however, the camera slowly zooms in on Will, showing him turn towards Chucky in shock. After a short exchange, and Chucky goes back to bluntly telling Will that he wants him to go and achieve great things, Will can only say,
"You don't know that. You don't know that."
A bleak contrast to his character so far, where he's always had something to say, such as in the Harvard bar monologue, or in any of the arguments so far. His body's also turned towards Chucky in the last shot, as he really takes everything in. The change in his body language shows us how he's reacting more openly to Chucky, and how he's actually listening instead of rebutting as he normally would do. The growth represented here is specifically when his view of himself being changed, as he comes to the idea that he doesn't actually know how great his future could be. It's not only Chucky that doesn't know, but him too. This uncertainty leads him to become more reliant on others, shown in the following therapy session with Sean. The following scene has Lambo and Sean placed in an argument, leading to a climax which Will sees, drawing parallels to argumentative parents and their child. Once Lambo leaves, Sean and Will start to have a discussion talking about their similar past trauma. This creates a mutual understanding between the characters, which Sean draws onto through the phrase,
"It's not your fault."
Initially, the impact of this statement has no effect on Will. However, after constant repetition, it causes a breakthrough in Will's mind, where this continuing theme of growth returns as Will shows signs of growing up from his past trauma. This forces Will to confront his feelings of guilt, breaking down his emotional and physical defenses, allowing for him to be vulnerable in Sean's presence, something no one has ever done before. By pausing between each repetition, Sean allows the words to sink into Will, but it also helps the audience come to the realization of why Will acts as the way he does, with this realization even in Will, showing him that he can grow and highlights the start of healing these deep-seated feelings. The lack of non-diegetic sound enhances the effect of Will's sobs. Again, this is an emotion that he hasn't displayed before. Usually he would have acted aggressively, which he did earlier in the scene, but as his defenses broke down, he gave in and became more emotional. This change in reaction also furthers the message of growth, as it is shown that he can now face the emotions that have held him down for all this time. Finally, the placement of Will and Sean in this scene, specifically during the "it's not your fault" part of the scene, represents the growing connection between the characters through their newfound understanding of each other, which comments on the overall theme of growth through the idea of looking at others to help yourself grow. The gradual growing closeness in the scene strengthens not only Sean's understanding of Will or their relationship, but also the audience's. The camera angle also supports this, with Sean walking to the camera, and what he's saying goes from more distance to right up in Will's face, and then, in the embrace, we see Sean smiling in a close-up shot. The representation of Will and Sean's closeness directly correlates to Will's emotional growth, as he now has someone he realizes he can trust, someone who understands him which no one ever has. All these things that have never been shown to us happening in this scene enforce the idea of growth and change, as he shows promise for growth by facing his past trauma, whereas before he was closed off to it, displaying his therapeutic and mental journey. Throughout the movie, the theme of growth, specifically within Will, begins when he has a realization that he shouldn't throw away his talents because he's scared of change, but instead, he should take full advantage of his potential, as the people around him are supporting him so that he can achieve great things. Chucky's conversation and Sean's words create this realization, opening Will up to growth and change as he goes from an arrogant and defensive person into a more open person who's willing to accept not only others around him, but also himself.